Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Chat Batch here on the Geeknd, where we talk about the most recent episode of the Bad Batch together with you in the live chat and you in the future chat as well, watching on the replay. Talk to me in the comments. I'm here for you, and together we are the Chat Batch along with a guest. And my guest this week is a Star Wars YouTuber called Meg, better known as Star Wars Meg, and the name of her channel. And I will stop talking about her. Instead, I will talk with her. So let's bring in Star Wars Meg. Hello, Meg. How are you?
Hello. I'm very good. How are you?
Not bad, thank you. They were some pretty smooth exchanging of pleasantries that we just conducted there. So let's move on to talk Star Wars. I love doing the kind of on air. How are you? You know, like we're just speaking for the first time, when of course we have just been chatting for 15 minutes before going live. But yeah, let's talk Star Wars. And before we get into the Bad Batch episode 5, Rampage, let's just give a little bit of background on your channel for anybody. I can see a few people in the chat who I will come over to in a moment. For anyone who doesn't know Star Wars Meg, your channel dishes out daily Star Wars news videos pretty much literally daily, all 7 of them. I think that's fair to say, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do videos every single day, mostly news updates, but I also post Star Wars speculation videos, theory videos. I just try to keep up to date with all things going on in a galaxy far, far away. So,
which, you know, this is like, there was a time when Star Wars stuff, people would have been scraping the barrel. But now, of course, things are busy and only going to get busier next year or later this year into next year with all of the new content that's coming out. I imagine with your theory stuff, your speculation stuff, obviously that kind of vibe you can plan for in advance. But with the new stuff, do you wake up each morning and see what's out there and then take it from there?
Pretty much. I also have notifications on my phone. So whenever there's like something going on that's a leak or whatever, I'll look at my phone at whatever time of night. And there have been times I've literally gotten out of the bed at 3 a.m. over here in the UK and just recorded and put it out there. So I'm very hands-on. It's like a 24-hour job, if you will.
Wow, you are dedicated, and that's why you succeed, Meg. I think I'm far too lazy to be getting out of bed at 3 a.m. to respond to a Star Wars news story. But I guess, you know, the comfort you must take in this is that this is not a flash in the pan. You know, there's no danger of Star Wars news drying up anytime soon, is there?
No, not with the Bad Batch. We've had a lot of tweets from Kevin Kinner, the composer for the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch. And he often tweets before the episode, giving us a little tease. You know, he even said recently he's finished scoring the final episode, episode 16, and it's going to be a very emotional one. So when you combine that with the Book of Boba Fett, there have been quite a few leaks, character leaks, and Cassian Andor set leaks. We've had some Obi-Wan Kenobi news, Mandalorian news. There's always something to talk about, which is great. You know, if you have a channel that's basically dedicated to Star Wars news.
Yes, it's convenient. And I think I'm right in saying that you are, or at least your entry point into Star Wars was the prequels, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, absolutely. Grew up around the big prequel hype where LucasArts was at its peak. We had a lot of action figures, and yeah, Star Wars was alive and well, in spite of a lot of fans disliking them. I think as a child at the time, it was the big hype. You know, it was our Star Wars. Every generation has, you know, what they call Star Wars.
Yeah,
no, it was the prequels.
Yeah, and to another generation, it will be the sequels. It's the kind of, you know, the grown-ups of the time that are the dominant, loudest voice, I guess, on whatever the version of social media is at the time. And, you know, those fans that grew up with the originals, not all of them, you know, many of them didn't appreciate the prequels, but there was a whole new generation of Star Wars fans that were getting hooked, and then maybe some of them had the same reaction to the sequels. But I guess then the Bad Batch is your era of Star Wars storytelling.
It is. It's in the same timeline.
Yeah,
just after Revenge of the Sith.
Well, one kind of general question then on the Bad Batch before we get deep into episode 5, specifically itself. What were your expectations going into the series, and also how are you now feeling 5 episodes later?
It's a good question. I'm not going to lie to you. I had no expectations. I was semi-excited. I remember seeing the episode of the Clone Wars season 7 that really focused on the Bad Batch, rescuing what's his name, Echo.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wasn't sure why they were making an entire series about this group of modified clones. And then, funnily enough, now 5 episodes in, I'm absolutely hooked. Fell in love with all the characters, all of the members, Omega. It's been phenomenal. Honestly, even though there are some slower moments in the last couple of episodes, it really is building up to something big. And a lot of people who call the episodes, like the last 2 episodes, filler episodes, I think they're missing the point that this show isn't like The Mandalorian. It's not meant to be fast-paced. It's not meant to always get to the point or have a massive cameo every episode. It's like a slow build-up. And I think we are going to have a lot of questions answered going forward, but you have to go with the pace of it. So to answer your question more directly, I am very pleased that this show is as incredible as it's been, considering I had 0 expectations going into it.
And it's fine if you don't. It might be too early. Like you've said before, this is building up to something. We have a long way to go in terms of the number of episodes still to drop. But do you yet have a favorite character, a favorite member of the Bad Batch?
I've always really liked Wrecker. I know.
Okay, was this pre-Bad Batch? Was this in the Clone Wars arc where this started?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good question because it's changed. I always preferred Wrecker over the others. I didn't really see him as the comic relief character, as a lot of people, say that he is. But over time, I've really come to like Omega. I think she's got a lot of depth to her character. I don't understand a lot of the criticism of her being a Mary Sue or whatever. And you have to remember that all of her powers are genetically modified. They're deliberate. So I would say while I still like Wrecker in the original lineup of the Clone Force, now I would say it's Omega. How about yourself?
Well, interesting in terms of Wrecker, because I was, I suppose, the opposite. I didn't like him. I didn't dislike him, but he was kind of annoying for me in the Clone Wars episodes where we were introduced to him. And I suppose at that point, Echo was probably my favorite member, maybe because we'd had more time with him. But now, moving into the Bad Batch itself, I've said this each week now, Wrecker's been growing on me a lot. So he's been growing on me to the point where I think I like him. And Hunter's getting more interesting. But actually, I think I'm going with Tech for now. I mean, Omega has the, I'm intrigued like everybody else. I'm most intrigued about Omega and where we're going with her. But I think at the moment, I'm going with Tech. Is that a bit boring?
No, not at all. I like Tech. He's always got the answers. He's kind of the hero of every episode. He's the brains behind the crew. He always knows how to get them out of a pickle. And in a sense, they're all collaborative. That's what I really like about them. Especially for younger audiences, they can see the Bad Batch and take away so many great lessons of the importance, I think, of collaboration, even if you're an individual, which they all are, of course. I think that's why they're so likable individually. I would say Tech is more interesting than Hunter, and I know that's not a very popular opinion.
Yeah. Well, I'm sticking with him as my number one. Then you've validated it for me, Meg. And you're right; he does always have the answer, and we need answers. I certainly need answers. I don't have the answers, but I want the answers. So Tech would be the one that you go to. Let's just pop over to the chat and say hello to a few people, and then we'll talk more about this episode specifically. So who is in the house? I can tell you the first in the house was Glenn, the Geeky Hippie. Welcome to you. Yeah, I spotted that thumbs down before the video stream even started. I'm just used to that by now. Hello to Silverhawk as well. Welcome. David popped in to let us know that he's popping straight out again. He is going on a hike with his missus. It is a public holiday here in the UK, so we will let him off there. I think it is in the States as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. Possibly might be. And who else have we got? Frogger. Welcome back, my friend. And as always, I'm going to ask you towards the end of the stream to give us your scores out of 10 for this episode. Hold fire on them for now. I will tell you when to do it. Clays, hello to you. Make sure I haven't missed anyone because I won't sleep tonight if I do miss someone. Hello to Anders. And there's a welcome Meg from Glenn and also welcome Meg from Clays as well. Maria is here, who grew up with the original trilogy and loved the prequel trilogy. Yeah, there'll be many people like that. It's not fair to say that everybody who grew up with the OT hated the PT. And I think that brings us up to date. Astramus made it. Welcome, Astramus. And also, I did read this at first as David Beckham, and I got quite excited. I'm still excited to see it's you, David Beckman. Welcome, and confirming it, there is a holiday today in the USA as well as here in the UK, which I imagine is why David is going out for a hike with his wife. Scooter, welcome to you. All right, we'll come back to the chat later. We're going to talk about Rampage now, episode 5 of the Bad Batch. So give us your general thoughts as we go on, but I will tell you when to send your scores out of 10. So I suppose this sort of easy way of summing up the synopsis, if you like, of this episode. We're coming off the back of discovering that Fennec Shand is after Omega, and the Bad Batch now need to find out who she is and why she is after their newest recruit of their batch. And they meet an alien called Sid, who's a Jedi, or was a Jedi informant back in the day. And he basically agrees to help them with information, but only if they complete a mission for him first. And
I think Sid's a female.
Is Sid a female?
Yeah, she's a Trandoshan female.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. You are my tech. You're here with the answers for me. And the corrections more like, it wasn't a question, but the corrections. Okay, so Sid is a female, not the last female alien that we're going to talk about in regards to this episode. At one point I was sort of thinking, smooth. Yeah, thank you. I've recovered. Have I recovered well?
You have. Also, can I just say hello to Maria? She's an unlimited tier patron of mine, and a Megalorian, as she stated in the chat. Sorry about that.
Oh, wow. No, that's great. And also, I know we talked about Meg's channel earlier, everyone, but I think I forgot to mention, maybe I did mention, but I'm going to mention it again anyway. I have linked to Meg's channel if you don't know it and you're lazy and you don't want to search for it yourself. There is a direct link in the video description and also to Meg's Patreon page as well. So one part of me for a moment when Sid gave the mission to the Bad Batch before, she'll release the information. At one point I kind of, and I think this was more me being lazy, I was kind of thinking, oh, here we go. It's like one of those Mandalorian video game style episodes. But I think that's kind of unfair. And I think that's lazy from me, because that's also a formula that goes, way back beyond the Mandalorian as well. And I think overall it was a solid space, well, not really in space much, but, a space adventure type episode. So they go off on this mission. And basically I'm leading into addressing the elephant in the room, or should I say the Rancor in the room, because they're off to find this child called Muchi, who it's kind of like a reversal of the surprise of finding little Grogu there as this child that they're looking for. We have this kind of big, but not really big yet, Rancor called Muchi. Now, Meg, I want you to explain something to me, which you've already proved that you're very good at. And this links back to your channel as well, because I noticed just before we came live, you've in the last couple of hours posted a video about this. So don't give away the entire contents of the video. People can go to your channel after the stream and watch it for themselves, but give us a little bit of it, because basically what the Rancor, right? This Rancor, I only watched the episode today of the Bad Batch, and I, in advance of that, had seen a lot of tweeting, a lot of talk on Twitter, about this Rancor. You know, you always see a lot of talk on Twitter, all sorts, but not often Rancor talk. I didn't go sort of deep into it because I didn't want to, hit any major spoilers if there was one. Turns out it wasn't. But I could tell that people weren't happy. First of all, what were people at this point in time? What were they unhappy about?
So a lot of people were unhappy because they saw the Rancor. They saw that it was Bib Fortuna with his Gamorrean guards who came for Mucci when they spoke to Sid. And a lot of people assumed, well, this has to be the same Rancor from Return of the Jedi that Luke would eventually kill. And a lot of people are unhappy with that because it means this cute Rancor that we're meeting in the Bad Batch is eventually going to get slaughtered. And I don't know if anyone's aware, but what StarWars.com do is the Monday after the Friday that the Bad Batch episodes drop, they do an episode guide explaining different creatures, planets, you name it. And this time they explained that the Rancor, because just to give a bit of context, even some Lucasfilm writers who weren't necessarily involved with the Bad Batch, such as Pablo Hidalgo, they were confused, like, is this the same Rancor? But in today's episode guide on StarWars.com, they made it clear that it's not, and that the Rancor from Return of the Jedi, which is called Patissa, is a male Rancor. And this one's a female Rancor called Mucci. And they also explain that Jabba the Hutt owned multiple Rancors. So this is just one of many, but not the same one that we'll eventually see Luke destroy in episode 6 of the Skywalker saga.
So Jabba has been hoarding these Rancors over the years. So people were unhappy, then thinking that Star Wars had been retconning classic trilogy details in terms of the Rancor's name and sex.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
Wow, Twitter never ceases to amaze me. But as Meg said, now we have confirmation that it is a different Rancor. It is its own Rancor. Mucci is a female, like Sid, which Sam in the chat I noticed also corrected me on. I'm sorry, everybody, that I've disappointed. Also, hello to Dawn. Good morning where you are. Are you like in Australia or something? Good morning, wherever you are. Where is Dawn? Where is she?
I know Dawn. Where is Dawn? That's a very good question.
Where is Dawn? Who knows?
Where would it be morning?
Dawn is. It would be morning in Australia and New Zealand around about now. Really early in the morning, but it would be morning.
I've spoken to Dawn many times.
Do you want to know? I can tell you, I have various cities which I do business with. And you know what? It's not Australia because it could be Australia. It's 3:20 in the morning. It's still morning in Los Angeles, so it's still.
I was going to say, yeah, the
time.
West Coast.
So, yeah, so there we go. That's where she might be. Not necessarily in Los Angeles, but that part of the world. So anyway,
Washington State.
Maybe she can drop it in for us. She has. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, she has.
Thank you. Panic over, everybody. Dawn has been located. Also, hello to Roy Keane. So we'll carry on with our chat about this episode of the Bad Batch. What were your overall thoughts, feelings towards this episode, Meg?
I would say I liked it a lot better than the last one. I was quite disappointed with the Fennec Shand episode, to be honest, because she's an awesome character. But I felt like the episode was really, picking up and then it ended. For this episode, I really enjoyed it. I think there was a lot of character development with Omega. A lot of subtle things, but building up sort of the side of her that's courageous, that's daring. I think she'll ultimately be the hero of this series. And obviously the callbacks to the classic original trilogy. You can't really beat getting Bib Fortuna as a younger Twi'lek showing up for a Rancor. So I know you're saving the ratings for later, so I'm going to think of a score to give it in the meantime.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts? Because I know you recently rewatched it, so.
Yeah, don't reveal your score yet. Keep that close to you. Yeah, I'm kind of weirdly coming in fresh. Quite often I've watched it on a Friday, like most people, I guess, doing these streams on a Monday. I then kind of need to refresh myself on the Monday. And obviously just seen it today. So I'm as fresh as I ever get anyway. I still think it's a beautiful looking show. I sometimes do forget I'm watching a cartoon in a way. the characters are slowly growing on me, slowly getting more interesting. This episode didn't have much of, or any of, what I've really enjoyed in the previous episodes, which is mostly, and so much in episode 1, mostly that transition, the different size of the transition that we're seeing, from Republic to Empire, and how it's affecting different, people around the galaxy. This didn't have so much of that, and that has been so far what I've enjoyed more. That's been happening around the Bad Batch, as opposed to really caring about the Bad Batch themselves. And I don't know if this episode has really accelerated my feelings, towards the Bad Batch. I do think it's going to come, like you've said. I think we are building up to something really big and really great. But I think in this episode, for me, has been quite consistent with episodes 2, 3, and 4, where I've enjoyed it, but not loved it. Like I said before, it was a solid kind of adventure story episode. So I did really enjoy it, and I'm not going to give my score yet either. I'm upset, but not upset like with you or at you, Meg. But I wanted to ask you about Fennec Shand, because I know she's one of your favorite characters from The Mandalorian. So I'm not surprised, but maybe I am surprised. I think I'm surprised. Okay, I'm going to say I'm surprised that you were a little bit deflated. It sounds like you were a bit deflated after seeing this version of her in the Bad Batch.
I was, and it's nothing to do with like the visual aspect, because a lot of people complained about the character design. I had no grievances with that side of it. For me, it was more the story itself. It kind of felt like an episode where the Bad Batch go to Pantora, there's a chase scene, and it's over. And I know that's a very simplified version of what happened, but I felt like her role was very cheapened. In The Mandalorian, you don't know whether to trust her. And I guess that's the dimension that comes with a live action show as opposed to an animated show. I felt like they could have done more. And just as you get a tease at the end when she says, "Don't worry, we'll catch her," to whoever she's speaking to, it ends. And for me, that was a little bit disappointing.
But are you confident your disappointment will be upgraded? Because obviously this is not the last we've seen of her.
For sure, it's like a passing disappointment, not a permanent one.
A fleeting emotion.
A fleeting emotion. I have trust in the team that works on it. I'm sure she'll have a much more in-depth role going forward.
I don't know what it was you said, but Clay says, spot on, Meg. Spot on, Meg. Perhaps everything you said. Spot on, Meg, from Clay's there. I put this up on screen earlier from Silverhawk. Seems kind of weird. Muchi got liberated to fall into the hands of Jabba. I don't think we've seen the last of Muchi. I agree. It definitely seems kind of weird, but I think we probably have seen the last of Muchi. What do you think?
Probably. That goodbye that Muchi gave to Wrecker, it felt kind of permanent. I like this aspect of the Bad Batch, introducing little nuggets of characters and creatures that we're aware of. I don't remember what planet was it where the Bad Batch found, what's his name? Cutler Quain. There was a lot of original trilogy species. Yeah,
that was the planet where we briefly saw in Revenge of the Sith, didn't we, during the Order 66 montage, I think, and I can't remember its name either.
It's literally slipped my mind, but in that one there were a lot of characters of the same species of the Cantina aliens from A New Hope. Like there was a couple of Snaggletooths, a couple of Ithorians or Hammerheads. I quite liked those little callbacks. So
yeah, I just want to tell you, Meg, before you check your emails, I want to beat your emails to delivering this news to you. Sam has just become a Patreon of yours.
Thank you so much, Sam. I will contact you.
Yeah. And also, just want to say hello to Mr. Galvan. I don't dare, I don't dare say your first name, Mr. Galvan. I just noticed some breaking news. The Copa America has been moved from Argentina. That was announced earlier today, I think, but it's just been announced that it's been moved to Brazil. If you like football, there you go. But I hope all is well with you in Argentina, Mr. Galvan. Anders here. Mucci might be back in the book of Boba Fett. I mean, yeah, that's
I've heard a lot of people say
interesting.
I've heard a lot of this. I did my full episode breakdown on Friday, actually, and the amount of comments of people saying Mucci's going to be in the book of Boba Fett, it's very likely because he's at Jabba's palace, and I know that Bib Fortuna carried on the legacy of Jabba after episode 6. So he might have kept Mucci. But I don't want to see her slaughtered.
No, nobody wants to see that because we learned a bit more about Rancors, or I certainly did anyway in this episode. Because I'm not going to lie, I even if I had watched this episode on time, I wouldn't have been particularly angry by the potential retconning because I was not on first name terms with the Return of the Jedi Rancor. I wasn't even on gender terms with it either. But yeah, this Rancor Mucci was softer. We saw its kind of softer side, didn't we? And I guess that's general to the species, not just specific to Mucci. So yeah, I'm kind of up for seeing more Rancors in Star Wars. And maybe after being pessimistic earlier, maybe it's not the last we'll see of Mucci, because I think that Book of Boba Fett idea is quite interesting, actually. Maria thinks Mucci could be the mother of the Rancor we see in Return of the Jedi.
There's always a bigger fish.
Yes, there is. And David, not Beckham, makes a good point. I can't see the animated Mucci on the live performance Boba series. Yes, it won't certainly be that specific version of Mucci. We'll be live actioning that Mucci. So going back to episode 5, other details. Also, hello to Valdis. I've seen just pop up in the chat. There seemed to be, I can't remember when this first happened. Maybe it was episode 2, episode 3, and then there seemed to be no mention of it for a little while. But Wrecker's headache was playing up again, wasn't it?
Indeed.
Yeah. Wrestling a Rancor doesn't help for headaches. Paracetamol's much better, but there is some foreshadowing continuing here, isn't there?
I personally think that Wrecker's headache is obviously due to his inhibitor chip. There's been 1,000,001 videos about this. And I believe that what's going to happen is his inhibitor chip is going to set off. Maybe, I don't know, he's going to try and execute Order 66 or something's going to happen. I believe that tech is going to be prepared. And that is when they're going to seek out Captain Rex, because we know he's going to show up as well. And they're probably going to become aware of the fact that Rex understands the inhibitor chips, especially after what happened with Ahsoka in the Clone Wars Season 7. And that will be the gateway of how Rex comes into the picture. I can't see them killing off Wrecker or him having a tragic ending. But I do think that, as you say, it's foreshadowing a big problem coming up, because it wouldn't have been recurring in 2 or 3 episodes now, unless, something massive is going to happen with him, which is going to be a shame, of course.
Yeah, I'm of that opinion now, that it would be a shame. There was an opinion of mine before the Bad Batch where I would have quite happily have seen him get killed off. But now, no, don't kill off Wrecker. But I feel like he or Crosshair's gonna go though. You mentioned about the composer tweeting, and there was that tweet, wasn't there, about the finale scoring the finale ending. brought a tear to the eyes. So yeah, I feel like someone's gonna go. More like, whether that be Wrecker, perhaps Crosshair, in some sort of redemption theme. I don't know, but yeah, there is certainly some foreshadowing going on with that pesky headache of Wreckers. Frogger makes the point Tech was already working on a scanner for the inhibitor chips. What was... I'm doing this thing where I'm trying to multitask, Meg, by the way, where I'm sort of trying to hold a conversation and obviously listen to what you're saying and also looking at the chat at the same time. I think I'm caught up with the chat. If I've missed anything that's really important, copy and paste it back in. But as we slowly, don't put your scores in yet, but as we slowly start to wrap up, what was, Meg, your highlight of this episode?
As I said, I think Omega's courage, her development, because obviously it was nice to see a Rancor, it was nice to see callbacks to the original trilogy, Return of the Jedi, but for me the highlight in the context of the Bad Batch itself was how Omega has taken more personal responsibility for the safety of her group. It kind of feels like she's really merging into the role of a proper member of Clone Force 99. I really enjoyed that, and she picked up the Zygerian bow and basically kicked some A. So I liked that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think this episode, whilst there's still a lot of mystery around her and debate around her, I think we had some good character development with her in this episode. I'm on board with that, and there's definitely a lot more integration of her into the Bad Batch, and she does now feel like not. Of course, Hunter's still going to be being a bit bossy towards her, but it does feel now like she is actually part of the the batch. She's in the batch on their patch. And previously she was a bit of a tag along, wasn't she?
She was. I think she fits nicely into the role. I think that was planned from the start. So we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, and what about then? You don't have to think of something for the sake of it. What didn't you like about this episode? It could be big, it could be major, it could just be a little minor nitpick.
I really can't think of anything I outright disliked. I think the pacing was a lot better than episode 4. I'll tell you what, this is again a very big nitpick, but it's part of the plot, so I can't really complain too much. It's how Sid didn't give them a conclusive answer to who Fennec Shand is working for. That would be my only criticism, if you can call it that.
Yeah, I don't think that's criticism. And that's, again, that's something we're going to discover later, I think at the moment, you're just a little bit prickly about anything to do with Fennec Shand currently in the Bad Batch. But it's all going to get better for you, Meg. I know it.
If you have me on in a couple of weeks, I'm sure I'll have a different opinion.
Yeah, well, let's do that. And we will see. It may even be next week. Who knows? I think that opinion is going to change pretty soon. And, you've already got that established love for the character, haven't you? And
I do.
Obviously, she is a major player now in the Star Wars world, because she'll be heavily involved with the Book of Boba as well, won't she?
Yeah, she is. Ming-Na Wen is going to be in the Book of Boba. I can't wait for that. I think in live action, Fennec Shand works really well, especially with this new direction of the Mandalorian universe and, where we're headed with things. She's a really awesome assassin.
Yeah. From Maria here, the heartbreaking ending, I think, is going to be Wrecker dies as a result of his inhibitor chip going haywire, and Crosshair dies trying to save him, redeeming himself. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I actually think
I'm on board with that.
I think Crosshair is going to go, and it will be in the act of redeeming himself. But I think, like you said, Meg, earlier, I'm not so sure Wrecker will die, despite the foreshadowing. He's clearly going to have a wobble, that's for sure. Going off topic for a moment, and people, everyone in the chat, get your marks out of 10 for the Bad Batch episode 5 Rampage. Get them into the chat, and I will be reading them out in a couple of moments. But just going off topic, not wildly off topic, don't worry, for a moment. What do you most put the Bad Batch to one side? I know it's what we're focusing on at the moment, but with everything that's coming up, we've just touched on the Book of Boba, and obviously Fennec Shand, one of your favorite new characters is going to be heavily involved in that, and your channel. You've done so much Mandalorian content in the past and will in the future as well. But what is it, if you could only pick one out of all of the future Star Wars projects that we know about? If you could only pick one, you don't get to see any of the others. You ever, all right? You can only see this one that you choose. Which would it be?
Hands down, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Why?
Obi-Wan in the form of Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen as Vader / Anakin, maybe in flashback form. It was my childhood. I have such a strong emotional connection to that show. And I didn't cry when Luke Skywalker showed up in The Mandalorian Season 2. It was emotional. I didn't cry. I feel as though I'm probably going to cry at some point for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I don't really cry much, just generally. So I think that one is going to touch on my heartstrings. And that's why I really hope it's going to be good. I really hope. I have faith in the crew, especially after Ewan McGregor came out and said the script is amazing. He's had a lot of input as an executive producer, as well as obviously being Obi-Wan in that show. But for me, that's the one show that if I could just get rid of the rest, if I had to choose just one show, it's that one.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor does seem. I mean, I know he has to be, on page, on topic. He has to be. He's part of the publicity team. Essentially, he has to be publicly positive towards it. But I feel like
that's true.
He is being genuinely enthusiastic and positive about what he knows so far and what he's experienced so far. And let's not forget, he has been fairly critical of his Star Wars experience in the past as well, whether that be some of the scripts, whether that be the amount of green screen or blue screen around him, or fans turning up outside, a West End theatre or Broadway theatre where he's performing, asking them to sign a poster of Obi-Wan Kenobi to stick on eBay. He has had some prickly moments in regards to his Star Wars career, if you like, which he hasn't been shy about saying. So, again, I don't think, he would say anything negative about this series anyway. But at the same time, I'd buy what he's saying so far.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think, his transparency makes it kind of more worthwhile as a fan to want to tune into it, even if you're just a casual Star Wars fan and maybe you don't have the same emotional connection to the show because of your childhood. I think his transparency over the years, even if, he has to promote the show and be positive about it, I would trust what he's saying a lot more, I think, than perhaps some other actors or actresses who were kind of hyping up a film just because they were in it, rather than that's what they actually thought about it. It's kind of the same transparency that Carrie Fisher had about the sequel trilogy. She was very blunt and honest about things that she loved, obviously when she was alive, because unfortunately she didn't live past being in person for the last one. But she was always transparent about aspects of The Force Awakens that was amazing and things she didn't particularly like. So for me, Ewan McGregor has that same status as someone you can really trust, because he is also a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, it's in his family. It's part with his uncle Wedge, and it's been in his he's of that original trilogy era. And yeah, I think he doesn't need this show. Ewan McGregor, the actor, doesn't need this show, and he's not only putting his name to it as an actor, he's putting his name to it, as is he an executive producer as well?
He said that he said he had a hand in the writing. So
and
I think he works closely with Deborah Chow, so I think it's kind of like take it as you will.
He doesn't need it, in terms of his resume, his CV, his bank account's probably looking pretty. I feel like for him to be not just involved as an actor, but also involved, with the creative process as well, behind the scenes. And let's not forget, this is a process that's been going on for a long time, because at one point it was going to be a movie, then I think it was going to be a longer series, then it got shortened. And he said himself that he's had to lie to people in interviews for years about this project and his involvement with it. So he's probably been part of the various different stages of this project. So he's had many opportunities to get out if he didn't like what he saw.
Yeah, precisely. I can't disagree with any of that. What show are you which show are you most looking forward to?
Well, I will tell you, Meg, and I will just say one more time, get your scores out of 10 in for episode 5 of The Bad Batch. We'll be wrapping up in a couple of minutes. I can see some scores coming in. If you haven't put your scores in, don't forget. To answer that question, Meg, you know what? I set the criteria of only being able to choose one. So I've got to stick to it now, haven't I? Oh, man, why did I do
you
such
got
a
go by your own standards.
I mean, I will say that I'm really like you. I didn't get that. I certainly didn't cry about, and I would admit it if I did. I didn't cry when Luke turned up. I didn't lose it at all. I was actually more worried or invested, at least, in Din and Grogu. What was going to happen next with them? You know, I didn't want the separation of this partnership, you know. So my concern was when we realized it was Luke, was what's Grogu going to decide to do? So that's shown that for me, that's given me the confidence to be excited in brand new Star Wars material, you know, in new characters. There was a time when, you know, I only wanted to see more of what we already know, if you know what I mean. And I'm not a sequel trilogy hater. I've always said there's lots of great moments in the sequel trilogy. You know, there's things that didn't work for me. Overall, I'm happier we got the sequel trilogy than not. But it has kind of, you know, helped me let go of the old, if you like, and being more kind of ready to embrace the new. And obviously there is a lot of new. And I should add as well that characters like Ahsoka are pretty new for me because I've only recently watched the Clone Wars. I haven't watched Rebels yet. So, you know, this is all actually new to me, even though I know it's been going on for years in terms of the Clone Wars. That being said, I'm probably going with a classic character, and that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm probably going with Kenobi as well. I'm really excited about all of the new stuff and, you know, more Mandalorian. The Book of Boba Fett's growing on me. At first, I was a bit like, not sure I want this. You know, hurry up with Mando season 3 already. Then I was petrified when there was a rumor that Book of Boba Fett might be Mandalorian season 3. So yeah, I'm fully on board with all the new stuff, but I'm still gonna go with Kenobi.
I think that's a very good choice. Obviously, I agree with you.
Yeah, well, you would, because it was your choice too. But yeah, I just think there's a lot of, I mean, I know it seems almost lazy in a way, but there just seems like the potential to do so much we don't expect with a character we think we know so well. I saw someone put in the chat earlier how, you know, this could be a really dark Star Wars story. You know, there's going to be a lot of soul searching for old Ben, middle-aged Ben, oldish Ben. There's going to be PTSD and how I'll admit I'm a little bit worried strong, but I'm a little bit worried about what kind of connection we're going to get in real time between, I'm sure there'll be flashbacks, but real time between Vader and Kenobi. I think they've got to tread very carefully with that. But overall, I'm definitely most excited for Kenobi. How do you feel about a real time reunion between Darth and Obi?
I've said this a couple of times on my channel, and it's got mixed reception. But I think they have to respect George Lucas's original vision, especially for A New Hope. This idea that they didn't actually properly reunite. You know, there was the meeting on Mustafar in episode 3, but the next time they are properly confronting each other is A New Hope. So any kind of interaction between them has to be through Force vision. I don't think they can physically be in front of each other unless they want to break canon, unless they want to break George Lucas's vision for that. And it's more dramatic to have them almost meet and there to be this long period of time between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope than if they actually meet, just for the sake of it being, you know, what the fans want to see. But that's my take on it. I hold A New Hope in a very high standard because it is the original Star Wars movie, and I don't want anything to kind of tamper with what we know in canon for that film.
Yeah, and there's so much potential still to have them interacting with each other, whether it be through the Force time that we saw in The Last Jedi, or even, I'm sure we're going to get flashbacks. And to be honest, they won't even need to do much de-aging with those two, will they?
No.
Hayden's looking all right.
And so is Ewan McGregor, considering all things considered. So.
All things considered, yeah, he's had a hectic life, but I believe he's been clean for a few years now. So
I know this is very off
it.
topic, but I think Ewan McGregor was amazing in Christopher Robin.
Yeah, I saw that. So that's a film I saw on a plane. So when you watch a film on a plane, I find anyway I'm not fully engaged, but I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed it overall. It was nice, comfortable viewing, and it was a good performance from you. And I think Ewan McGregor is a fantastic actor, and I know the Star Wars prequels would not be probably in his top 10 in terms of the critics' ranking of his performances, but he did not give a bad performance in the prequels, in my opinion.
No,
I think him and Ian McDiarmid were two of the strongest actors in that trilogy. So is that your favorite non-Star Wars Ewan McGregor performance?
Yeah, not many people know this, but I'm a massive Winnie the Pooh fan. Die hard. Yeah. I just love it. It hits that kind of innocent spot.
Will you be starting a Winnie the Pooh Meg channel?
I've thought about it. You know what I'm actually legitimately thinking of starting is a Friends channel. I have a lot of theories about the show Friends.
Right, okay. All right,
and
then.
I feel like that would be an interesting thing to start. But no, Winnie the Pooh is one of my favorite things ever. So,
I mean, okay, I'm not going to let my feelings about Friends sort of seep in and take over here. But I think
I'm curious now.
I can't stand it. You
really?
No, seriously, can't stand it. And therefore, obviously, I have not watched the reunion show. Have you?
I haven't, but that's because I don't
call
own
yourself
a
fan. Okay, fair enough. I say I don't own a TV, but there are other ways.
They are. I think you have to have Now TV and then buy it for £10. I might do that actually.
There are still other ways, I'm sure. But I think, and you know this better than me. You know how to make a YouTube channel work. I suppose something like Friends, like Winnie the Pooh, unless Disney go and buy them, it's not gonna be the gift that keeps on giving, like Star Wars or MCU.
But Winnie the Pooh is Disney.
That's a good point. So why aren't they making spin-offs?
That's what I was thinking. There was going to be a 2019 film, and it got called off. So I'm waiting for the next installment.
Films are a thing of the past. We need series.
We do. There was an 80s series of Pooh, but we'll see. Right.
Well, let's see what people thought of The Bad Batch. Did anyone think episode 5 of The Bad Batch was poo or not? Let's find out. So I can see some scores coming in. I'm going to get Meg's score at the end. So let's fly through these. If I've missed your score, I'm really sorry. You can copy and paste it back in. I'm starting with Frogger, 8.5 out of 10. That's a strong start. We've got a 7 from Valdez. Maria with a 6.5 out of 10. Meanwhile, Clay's with a 7, 8.8 from Glenn, the geeky hippie. Dawn has given it an 8 as well. I hope you're still enjoying your morning. Francisco has given it a 7 out of 10. Hope you're well, Francisco. Sam, a 6 out of 10. I think that's the lowest we've had so far. 7 out of 10 from Mr. Galvan. 8 out of 10 from Silverhawk. And then we have comments about other stuff. So if I have missed your score, I'm sorry. Here's a... Did I do Silverhawk's score earlier? Anyway, 8 here from Silverhawk. I assume it's in relation to the Bad Batch Rampage. And I think I have covered all of the scores apart from 1 from Astromus here. 1 out of 10 for Friends, which seems remarkably high to me. Also, Brian Elliott here will give the Bad Batch Rampage an 8. So I'm no good with numbers. Hi there to Crosby as well. I can see you've popped up right at the end. I'm no good with numbers, but I feel like the average might have been a 7 maybe there. What do you reckon? There was a lot of
I think
sevens.
that's my score as well.
Okay, is that your final score, Meg?
7's my final score. It's also the score I gave it in my episode breakdown. It felt like a 7. 6 would have been too low. 8 would have been too high.
Yeah, I gave episode 1 a 7. I gave every episode since a 6.5. I enjoyed this episode, and if you're here for the first time, I would just like to point out that 6.5 in my book, the book of Jamie Sangram, is a good score. 5 is average, yeah? 5 is average.
You sound exactly like one of my teachers I had back in school. He was like, "Oh, I'm a strict marker. You know, if I give you a 6 out of 10, it's a good score."
It is. It's above average, but I was satisfied with getting D's at school. So I did enjoy this episode. I think the only episode I've loved so far was episode 1. I enjoyed this episode. However, it had some of the positives that I mentioned earlier. And, it's got that consistency still of previous episodes, of looking beautiful. The sounds great. We had, Amiga becoming more part of the batch more seamlessly. What's going on here? I just heard myself. I'm in a difficult position here. I'm basically torn between a 6 and a 6.5. It didn't have what I've enjoyed so far, like I mentioned earlier, the transitioning from Empire to Republic, and that's okay because that's not the show's. It's the Bad Batch. So I think I'm gonna have to give it a 6. I don't think I've enjoyed it quite as much as the 3 episodes that I gave a 6.5 to. So I'm going with a 6.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are you of the opinion that I've heard a lot of people say, which is you kind of just want the show to get to the point?
Yes.
Because I actually feel that way. I can see that point of view.
And I think
that's one criticism I do agree with.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think part of that is as well, because in a way, even I love The Mandalorian, and I was there, every day on the day of release. With this, I'm a little bit more casual towards it. But with The Mandalorian, I still had like little niggles every now and again of, the side questy type episodes, even though there were, elements of those episodes which linked into things that we discovered later on. They still niggled at me a little bit, even though I thoroughly enjoyed them, just because I was so desperate to, to find out what happened in the bigger picture, between with Grogu and obviously as things developed with other characters as well. But at least with that, you kind of knew, well, we're surely only one episode away from a big revelation or, a ramping up of the storyline. With this, because there's so many episodes to come out, I'm kind of like, when's it going to happen? And can I hang on that long? Because, what is there, like another 10 to go?
Yeah, I think there's it's 16 episodes in total. I feel like a big disappointment I have, although I love the show, don't get me wrong, is episode 1 was so much stronger than everything else we've had after it. So Aftermath, I think it was called, the 70-minute premiere was outstanding. Yeah, and fantastic. Then I kind of feel like it went downhill a bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they need a big. I suppose we're approaching the middle-ish. I think they need to really shift up a gear or two quite quickly.
I would agree with that.
I don't see this as I feel like The Mandalorian is a Star Wars series that you could recommend to a non-Star Wars fan, where they wouldn't really have needed to see too much that happened before, and to get on board with and to understand and to thoroughly enjoy. Well, I'm not saying that The Bad Batch is complicated at all. You could just watch it as a standalone thing, but I can't see it, like The Mandalorian has probably brought in new Star Wars fans. I can't see how The Bad Batch would at this stage anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all there because we understand what's going on around it, and we get off on the Easter eggs and the debates about the Rancor. But for casual or new fans, I I'd be interested to know what people think, actually, if you're in that camp. But I don't suppose anybody in that camp will be watching this stream, to be honest. All right. Well, I think I've got all the scores covered. I saw Simon Drake pop up in the chat. Hope you're well, my friend. And also, Crosby, we're wrapping up now, but I saw you put something in. Let me know on... I'll do a stream on Thursday, the regular sort of general kind of movie thing on Thursday. So let me know what that was then. But Meg, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. I appreciate your time. And once again, I've linked to Meg's channel. If you don't know it and you want some daily Star Wars news and more, I've linked to that in the video description. So go and check it out. And also Meg's latest video on the channel goes into a bit about what StarWars.com have cleared up, I guess, in regards to Rancor Gate. So go and check that out and give it a like and a comment and all that kind of stuff. But thank you, everybody in the chat, for joining us. And because I've remembered, I'm going to do it. Thank you to all Patreon members as well. Tomorrow is the first Tuesday. How do I get it off screen? Oh, it's this thing again. Tomorrow is the first Tuesday of the month. So that means it's a These Are the Actors You're Looking For day, which is our monthly Star Wars series. So look out for that. It will be about 6 p.m. UK time when it goes live with one of the handmaidens, Rabe, or Carol Christina de Silva, to use her real world name. So that will be that. And I'll be back on Thursday for the regular Geeknd Live. There may not be a chat batch next Monday. I may have to take a week off that, but I'll confirm that on Thursday. But anyway, thank you everybody for joining. Sorry, Meg, that you have to sit through this this final ramble, but thank you again for coming on the show as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome. Goodbye, everybody. I'm clicking end broadcast. So here we go. Broadcast is